In a society where the deck is increasingly stacked against men, the best chance at a life worth living is to escape the cubicle war. Pick up Corporate Land on Amazon.com today. A link is in the description. Hey Pop, before you get started taking your drink, I got a new shirt for you.
Alright. I like the color. No way.
Yes way. $20?
Fine. Alright, I'm wearing it. Are you happy?
I'm very happy.
Fine, let us begin. Yeah. If you haven't even heard about this bullshit, you are in the minority. But we're gonna get into it and we're gonna pick this shit apart. Aziz Ansari, comedian, actor, not funny, not particularly talented, and not Muslim, space ghost. But he's also not guilty of the bullshit he's being accused of.
Do you think acting like an idiot and talking about sex works on girls?
Well, if it didn't, the human race would have died out long ago.
Well, Mr. Aziz, I'm sorry. Perhaps you didn't think you would find a friend in me, and you probably won't. Now, normally we would read the entire article, but this thing is long. It's John Holmes on vitamin V long. I don't have time for that kind of shit. In fact, I want to get to doing some hardcore drinking, so we're going to skip through just the highlights.
I went on a date with Aziz Ansari. It turned into the worst night of my life.
Shut up.
Oh, God, stop. I'm in a pool of tears here.
The very first sentence shows you who's to blame for this baloney.
She approached him because she recognized his camera flash.
He was going through the crowd, taking pictures, flashing people. And you figured maybe I could flash him too and become a celebrity girlfriend and be on Easy Street.
Can I at least?
Waste your time? Wouldn't recognize you if you didn't.
Grace is a 23-year-old Brooklyn-based photographer, then aged 22. We are not using her real name to protect her identity because she is not a public figure.
This right here is one of the main problems with this Me Too bullshit. These women, they can remain anonymous while dudes are getting eviscerated. Their careers are getting ruined.
Any woman can say anything and a man's career is ruined.
If she was pressing charges in a court of law, she could stand behind that wall of anonymity and I wouldn't have shit to say about it. And why is that? Because she'd be going through the proper channels to get her story out and see justice was done. But this is libel. You are slandering somebody's name. This is revenge porn. Motivations are the same, except in revenge porn you have pictures. Here you just get words. And the end goals are the same. Character assassination, humiliation, and the destruction of your career and reputation. So Grace, whoever you are, from the bottom of my black dead heart, here's to you and fuck you.
I have to go now. Actually, I don't. It would be rude to walk out without saying anything.
Look at this goober with his time's up pin. Bitch, please. These liberal communist douchebags, they're running out of shit to eat and attack. So they're feasting on their own. It's a snake eating its own tail. Being a male feminist, that sure is saving your bacon, isn't it? But Grace, she knows all about tail-shaped objects in her mouth. They met, she pursued him, they exchanged numbers, and set up a date. It looked like it went pretty well, and how do I know that? There's pictures of the food. If it was a bad date, the next day, he would send her pictures of the food in the toilet. And what happened after dinner? They both went back to his place, which is a win. During a date, especially a first date, there are countless opportunities for you to say the wrong shit, or you can have one too many awkward moments, and it's a fucking wash. And if she comes back with you to your place, that is a very clear, non-verbal cue. Screen 5! Gonna get some. You did something right. Ladies, especially you, Grace, you piece of shit. When is this not a good sign? I'm not saying it's on like Donkey Kong as soon as she steps into your apartment. I'm not saying that at all. Let's be clear here. But it is a clear invitation that possibly this could go to the next level. I'm not saying you're going to round all the bases, but you might actually, knock in a double.
I happen to have a position available on my penis.
He said something along the lines of, "How about you hop up and take a seat?" Within moments, he was kissing her. In a second, his hand was on my breast, and then he was undressing her, then he undressed himself. She remembers feeling uncomfortable at how quickly things escalated.
Did she try to stop him, or was there an objection? Nope. But it was only after he went to get a condom did she say, whoa, let's just relax a little bit and chill out. But hey, don't you dare leave her alone in the room with that condom when you leave, just saying. Just make sure you flush it and watch it go all the way down, because we all know what happens if you don't.
It's proof that Jesus died in vain and legally changed his middle name to fucking...
She says he then resumed kissing her, briefly performed oral sex on her, and asked her to do the same for him. She did, but not for long.
So you willingly gave and received oral sex? That sounds pretty consensual to me. At what point does this turn into sexual assault? Bueller?
She says Ansari began making a move on her that he repeated during their encounter. The move he kept doing was taking his 2 fingers in a V shape and putting them in my mouth, in my throat to wet his fingers, because the moment he'd stick his fingers in my throat, he'd go straight for my vagina and try to finger me. Grace called the move the claw.
Clearly, you've been watching too much of that degradation porn. Not that I know anything about that, I'm just saying. You're not gonna live that shit down ever. You'll be 80, and the people taking care of you and wiping your ass, they're gonna call you the claw. The claw.
Ansari also physically pulled her hand toward his penis multiple times throughout the night from the first time he kissed her on the countertop onward. He probably moved my hand to his dick 5 to 7 times, she said. He really kept doing it after I moved away.
That would have been a great time to say something. Wait a minute. With a dick in your mouth, you only speak vowels.
Throughout the course of her short time in the apartment, she says she used verbal and nonverbal cues to indicate how uncomfortable and distressed she was. Most of my discomfort was expressed in me pulling away and mumbling.
Did you understand a word that I fucking said just there? I didn't think so. Mumbling is not worth the paper it's not printed on. Even if you do, write it down later.
Idiots are fun. No wonder every village wants one.
Let's say that you did mumble and pull away. At any time, did you say stop and then get up and leave? The answer is no. And you want to know why? Because you're a fame-seeking hearer.
I know I was physically giving off cues that I wasn't interested. I don't think that was noticed at all. Or if it was ignored.
First of all, you're expecting a dude with a raging boner to be a psychic. Not really going to work out too well. Second of all, putting a slot A on his peg D is not a good way to communicate that you're not interested. That whole mumbling and pulling away thing, that's called being coy. And that went on in the 50s. In fact, it's going on today. Despite all of their feminist bullshit, women don't want to be seen as eager hearers. And so they play coy. They love it. They love it when men chase them. There's power to be had there.
It gives you so much power, especially if you do a good job. Why wouldn't you want to be good at that? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Seriously, girls, so much power.
And Grace, that's what you were trying to do, and you're just pissed off that it didn't work. I guess that's what happens when the only celebrity that'll actually entertain the notion of banging you was raised a Muslim. That's not a smash on all Muslims, but hey, they don't have the greatest track record with women, if you know what I'm saying. Even when they're bacon-eating, male feminist idiots.
If someone asks if you're feminist, you have to say yes, because that is how words work.
It was 30 minutes of me getting up and moving and him following and sticking his fingers down my throat again. It was really repetitive. It felt like a fucking game.
So during that whole 30 minutes, did you bite his fingers, leave, or even say stop?
Ansari wanted to have sex. She said she remembers him asking again and again, "Where do you want me to fuck you?" while she was still seated on the countertop. She says she found the question tough to answer because she says she didn't want to fuck him at all.
Newsflash, lady, that is never a tough question to answer. Unless you have an endgame that has nothing to do with sex. And most likely, everything to do with money. Screen 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were having a state the obvious contest.
How much did you get paid for this libelous bullshit? And how much money is yet to come? That's a very good question.
I wasn't really even thinking of that. I didn't want to be engaged in that with him, but he kept asking, so I said, next time.
Next time, huh? You're a fucking idiot.
And he goes, "Oh, you mean a second date?" And I go, "Oh yeah, sure." And he goes, "Well, if I poured you another glass of wine now, would it count as our second date?" He then poured her a glass and handed it to her. She excused herself to the bathroom soon after.
Instead of leaving, you could have put your clothes on in the bathroom, excused yourself for the night, and said, "Hey, not working out by. And I can guarantee you there wouldn't have been any hard feelings. And how do I know that? Because any day where you get your dick sucked, it's a pretty good goddamn day.
Grace says she spent around 5 minutes in the bathroom collecting herself in the mirror and splashing herself with water. Then she went back to Ansari.
So she goes back for more and still claims to be the victim.
He asked her if she was okay. I said I don't want to feel forced because then I'll hate you, and I'd rather not hate you.
And that is the first time you actually voice an objection.
You can't stop our love!
But then, what do? You double down on stupid.
He said, oh, of course, it's only fun if we're both having fun. The response was technically very sweet in acknowledging the fact that I was very uncomfortable. Verbally, in that moment, he acknowledged that I needed to take it slow.
Said the woman who just had a penis in her mouth, Space Ghost. She figured that'll be the end of it. And then she walked over to the couch, naked, to watch TV.
He sat back and pointed to his penis and motioned for me to go down on him, and I did.
Oh! You were so pressured after you voluntarily took his dick in your mouth for the second time.
It was literally the most unexpected thing I thought would happen at that moment because I told him I was uncomfortable.
How could it be unexpected? I mean, you're doing it. It's not like you're watching TV and all of a sudden he appears on the corner of the couch holding his junk, yelling off the top rope in your mouth. Ah! You're acting like you had no say in this whatsoever. What are you, some kind of goddamn baby? And this went back and forth several times. And finally, she put her clothes back on.
They got dressed, sat side by side on the couch they'd already chilled on, and he turned on an episode of Seinfeld. She'd never seen it before. She said that's when the reality of what was going on sank in. It really hit me that I was violated. I felt really emotional all at once when we sat down there. That whole experience was actually horrible.
Wah.
While the TV played in the background, he kissed her again, stuck his fingers down her throat again, and moved to undo her pants. She turned away, and she remembers feeling in a different mindset at that point.
You found the claw's only weakness. Sub-zero temperatures!
Pulling the claw maneuver and ramming his fingers down your throat will make you vomit. And if your gag reflex is that non-existent, you have a bigger problem. And you've had more than fingers rammed down there on a regular basis to make it so.
Very mature.
You started it.
And then you remember feeling in a different mindset. I wonder, what could that mean? I think I know. And you might want to lube up that slot B because this one's going to hurt. You had an epiphany that this, in fact, was nothing more than a pump and dump and your dreams of being the celebrity girlfriend in the toilet. So you retroactively removed consent because that's logical. Newsflash, biatch. Rape and regret, they have some similar letters, but they're not the same. Hindsight might be 20/20, but only when you're not full of shit.
I remember saying, you guys are all the same. You guys are all the fucking same. Ansari asked her what she meant. When she turned to answer, she says he met her with gross, forceful kisses.
And that, if I was a betting man, all my chips on bullshit. As a dude, I can say this with confidence. We are not into rhetorical questions, especially when we're trying to get laid. So when he asked you what was wrong, he probably genuinely wanted to know. And you're saying, instead of letting you answer, he cut you off. Bullshit. If this was any other dude, you would have been gone hours ago, probably in the first 10 minutes. But because he's a celebrity, you decided to hang out a little bit more. But then, hey, that's no one's fault but yours.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
After that, finally, Mr. Aziz Ansari called her a cab and she left.
I cried the whole ride home. At that point, I felt violated. The last hour was so out of my hand.
You're right, because it was in your mouth. Ha ha! Screen 5. I'm just going to be honest here. You are a lying bitch. Listen, I'm not going to defend that dude because the claw thing, it is creepy. But Grace, that does not mean that you win, not by a long shot. You are not a victim. You do not deserve sympathy. In fact, you're kinda a fame hooer. Not only am I calling bullshit on your entire account, after all, we're only getting your side of the story, but it is the timing in which this story just happened to be released that makes you a liar. Just before this came out, Mr. Ansari won a Golden Globe Best Actor. But for a show on Netflix, Master of None, which I'm sure you didn't watch and neither did I. So this comes out, and of course it's gonna go fucking viral, because trashing people's careers with no evidence is popular right now.
Whatever the movement is, whatever the cause is, if you think it is bigger than due process, giving people an opportunity to be heard and making sure that people, I know there are some people that say, well, you know what, if some people get destroyed, if their lives get destroyed, that's a small
I know
prize.
men who say they won't hire women now, so that's great.
That's stupid. Yeah.
Well, what would you do?
I would sue the living shit out of everyone involved in that soup sandwich. But that Aziz Ansari doubled down on his own goddamn stupid by apologizing. But I suppose I should expect nothing less from a spineless, bitch-brain mangina feminist with no testicles.
In September of last year, I met a woman at a party. We exchanged numbers. We texted back and forth and eventually went on a date. We went out to dinner, and afterwards we ended up engaging in sexual activity, which by all indications was completely consensual. It was true that everything did seem okay to me, so when I heard that it was not the case for her, I was surprised and concerned. I took her words to heart and responded privately after taking the time to process what she had said. I continue to support the movement that is happening in our culture. It is necessary and long overdue.
In his own words, he did say, by his indications, it was all completely consensual. As a 34-year-old dude whose big head has overpowered the little head, he's probably right. Did I say probably? Fuck it. He is right. See these? When I smile, those are called teeth. And they're really good to have for biting a dude's dick off if you don't want to suck on it. So if you're sucking on a dude's dick and you're not biting it off, I guess you're into it.
The next day, I got a text from her saying that although it may have seemed okay, upon further reflection, she felt uncomfortable.
So it's only after she thought about it she became uncomfortable. That is called regret. And again, not the same thing as rape, not by a long shot. In fact, it's not even sexual assault. Suck it hard, suck it long. And Aziz, you're continuing to support this Me Too feminist bullshit, even after you fell victim to this craziness. This is a sterling example that being a male feminist in this environment doesn't mean shit and won't give you 1 ounce of protection. Mr. Aziz, I'm not sure if you realize this yet, but you're never gonna live this shit down. Hey, I'm sorry, but it's already over for you, and you let it happen. Instead of getting on your feet and defending yourself like a man, you got on your knees and apologized.
You son of a bitch. What about your words, your actions? You prove that all you care about is bitch slapping a guy who refused to kiss your ass.
This is a cautionary tale for all men. As long as idiots say this shit is necessary and long overdue, we're all fucked. So please, take it from me. Flip the script on them and don't you dare play. And if the big head has not overpowered the little head, please play the game smart. Fill out the coitus consent form. It's on Redonkulous.com. Now, I'm not saying that's gonna save you, but being a male feminist sure as hell didn't save this asshole. So all of you sad soy boy motherfuckers out there who are towing the line on this, take note. Because this guy has an assload of money. He's an award-winning comedian actor, and it didn't save him. So being a male feminist sure as shit won't mean anything for you, and there's no upside. I know you don't believe me. And that's okay. But I'll be up in those stands, eating popcorn, drinking beer, laughing my ass off as you get crushed under the wheels. Because this pain train called Me Too is not stopping anytime soon. Even with all this backlash coming down the pipe. We don't have time to talk about it this week, but next week we will. Winning. But in between that time and now, please check out the links below. Patreon and PayPal. Send us a couple bucks so we can keep doing this, because it is expensive. So please, hit the subscribe button and the bell. And if you do, I might wear this for a full episode. Let me know your comments below. If it's wrong, if it's ridiculous, it's redonkulous and it's open game. Don't mind me if I turn red in this episode. I took my cholesterol medicine and it fucks me up. Aziz Ansari. Aziz, I'm sorry. When you slander somebody at this particular level, you do not have a legal leg to stand on not to have your name included in this.